How's everybody doing? Thanks for tuning in to Wicked Warnings, your number one source for construction and emergency safety, strobe lighting, and equipment for cars, vans, buses, bicycles, tricycles, SUVs, Super Duty trucks like this beautiful 2022 Ford Super Duty 350 Platinum, especially with this nice pearl white paint like this. This particular truck is for a good client of ours, Mr. Porch over in Chicago. So if you need any porch work done, check these guys out. His name's Frank. You'll look for that logo. Give him a shout out. Let him know that you saw his truck over here on Wicked Warnings, and get yourself a porch. If you don't know, here in Chicago, we like our wooden porches. We like our 4, 5, 7-story big old wooden porches. Quite a lot of them all around the city, and a real popular thing in the city area and all around it. So you got a wooden porch, big or small, give Frank a call over at Mr. Porch. Let him know you saw his truck here. He's a real good client of ours, and we appreciate his business. We like to see the local guys using our lights here in the city and around the city. That's exactly what this is going to be. Now, being in the city of Chicago and servicing Chicago, he's going to be in and out of alleyways and gangways and side streets and all kinds of stuff where he may occasionally need to put these lights on to give some good warning. Maybe some of his men are working on a porch in an alley and they don't want to be ran over. Maybe he's just dropping off material. You never know. Maybe he had to go get milk one night in a hurry. No, I'm just kidding. These are for work only. Don't use them for grocery runs. What you're looking at in the front there is 3-inch M-Power in amber white. I like that mounting right underneath the hood. It works really well. We're also going to put all these parts in a list. We're going to bundle this all up as a parts package for you. So if you like everything you see, and more importantly, your truck is exactly the same as what you see and has all the same lighting, then you can use it. Specifically talking about roof lights and mirror lights. If you don't have those, obviously you can't use those parts. So right underneath the hood again, that's a 3-inch M-Power in amber white. Now below that, I wanted to add a little bit of side warning to the front of this truck. And you've probably seen me do this before with a T3 or with another kind of other light. We've done several different ones. But in these bezels with the LED fog light from the factory, what I did is I drilled a clean 1-inch hole and I back mounted, I glued in from behind with RTV sealant, an LED HAW Duo, a low dome hideaway. Now, the hideaway normally will mount inside a factory lens or something like that, but you can use them where you have a very small space. Now, the HAW Duo also comes with a mounting bezel. I didn't need to use that mounting bezel. As I said, all we did was drill a 1-inch hole and we glued it in from the back. So all you need is the low dome HAW Duo. We chose amber. I like how it bounces around that fog light bezel a little bit, gives you some forward warning and some good side warning. You'll notice the patterns on this particular build fairly aggressive because as a native and lifelong resident of Chicago, I'm quite familiar how the people drive here and how much attention they don't put on the roads on where they're going, especially in alleys, gangways, things like that. So because this guy works primarily in some of the most dangerous for getting hit areas, we made this one exceptionally vibrant with the color to try to keep him real safe, especially to the rear. Now here's a little side shot of it. Now you can see what I'm talking about. When this truck is perpendicular to traffic or to the field of vision, you're going to see mostly the side warning. Now you see a tiny bit of the underhood warning there, depending on how perpendicular you are, but you'll definitely pick up that front fog pocket, low dome HAW Duo in amber, and in the rear there, you can see it now. It is another 3-inch M-Power. Now the front ones are set on an inner cycle pattern, and it is alternate. One is alternate and it's intercycle. That'll give you that front display. And the rear, I believe that was power pulse. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. As far as the badges, we have our Thin-X in amber and white. That's set on a very aggressive amber white full flash pattern, single flash back and forth, amber white, amber white. I think it's a 350 flash per minute on that one. And on the mirrors above it, we have the same kind of pattern. It's a nice fast flash as well as the roof lights. We're using our auto flasher kit on those mirrors. That's a plug and play kit for the mirrors. It uses the existing mirror switches to flash those lights. We're using an auto flasher kit on the roof lights, as well as the factory reverse and cargo. Now, all of those are switched by the auxiliary switches because that's a standard wire-in kit. The reverse light is a no-cut, meaning you don't have to cut the factory wire to do it, but it is still a wire-in kit, meaning it needs to go to a switch for power. The mirrors, the front white mirrors, are plug and play, no switch required, it's a 10-second install on the mirrors. Everything else does require some field work, some seaming, and a switch, which in this truck we used our factory auxiliary switch number 1. It's kind of funny on this video too. It's one of the first times I'm being recorded while I'm recording. You could all see, if you could see through my eyes, you'll see all the equipment hanging in the front of this truck. Not only did we hardwire a brand new Escort radar detector right underneath the rearview mirror there, key ignition activated, so when the truck is keyed on, the radar detector is active. When you key the truck off, the radar detector goes dead. And above that, we have a very nice 3-piece black view camera, forward-facing camera, interior IR camera, and rear camera. We made a custom mount for the rear camera to hang center of the rear sliding window, and the camera does not move when the window moves. So that way, if you open the window, the camera is still centered in the rear window. I wanted to keep that camera nice and high and nice and centered so it caught all the footage from whatever was happening behind this truck. And the forward 2 cameras were all mounted up nicely in the windshield. I'll show some pictures of that at the end of the video. We also added the Black View extra battery underneath the dashboard, and that runs all the camera system through park mode. It's basically a standalone lithium-ion battery that runs all of the cameras, so it doesn't tax anything on the vehicle's batteries at all. So you'll never run your battery dead. And with that extra battery, these cameras can be motion detection parking mode for several days. So if he had to leave it in a parking lot, the cameras will turn on and capture all the motion and not have any drain on the factory battery. Real nice system by Blackview. Here's a little side shot. Now, unfortunately, I got a Project Square Body still behind me, so I can't back up enough to show you the front and the back, but I will try to get another shot of that later in the video. Here you can see the badges. There, we got a real good video in our DIY section all about how to mount those lights in that badge. We're going to link to that for you. Alrighty, here's the fun stuff. So out back, you can see that badge still doing its job. You can also see the side firing M-Power in amber white on the side of the tail light there. That's a critical spot for your perpendicular warning, especially if you do a lot of backing out of alleyways, gangways, where the back of your truck is at perpendicular to traffic. Imagine anything facing rear isn't going to be visible 90 degrees. So those side tail lights that are underneath this tail light there in that bezel, critical spot for plow trucks or any trucks in and out of tall building areas like Chicago, where you're definitely blocked from view quite often coming around a corner or backing out of an area. Above that, you'll see our reverse flashing. That's our auto flasher kit on the factory reverse lights. That's a no-cut kit, doesn't cut any wires. We simply switch one wire in the factory plug. I'm gonna put a little link right now to that video. It explains kind of what I'm talking about, how easy that kit is. Below it, you'll see our 28-inch Thin-X strips. Now, there's a small bracket on the right side of the tailgate. It's a brace. T40 Torx, I believe. We remove that bracket. There's a center plastic filler that sometimes holds 3 red DOT lights on the dual rear wheel truck above the license plate. We go ahead and remove that plastic as well. By doing that, you can fit the full 28-inch strip underneath the tailgate on each side and basically almost fill the tailgate with light, as you can see here. Now, if you don't want to remove the center black plastic filler, you could use a 15.5 strip on each side as well, but you still will need to remove that metal brace if equipped. Most of the upper trims have that tailgate brace, but I have seen a lot of the lower trims that don't. So if you have it, T40 Torx, take it right out of the way, put it in the glove box if you want to save it for later. But I've removed it from hundreds of trucks and never, ever had an issue. Here's your straight shot to the back. I admit the pattern is very aggressive, very loud, and that's intentional because, as I said, I know how Chicagoans drive, so I'm trying to give Mr. Knight over at Mr. Porch the best chance possible here to avoid any impacts while he's parked. Now, of course, if you prefer the slower pattern, these Thin-X strips have split pattern. They also have many other slower, more methodical patterns. You can pick whichever one you like. And they have a flood white override too if you wanted to activate that. The other cool feature about the Thin-X strip and the Thin-X light that's in the badges is if you wanted to flash the amber on one switch and the white on another, you could do that too. So it has 3 wires basically for input, 1 wire for the amber flashing, 1 wire for the white flashing, and 1 wire for the steady white. So you could essentially have 3 switches doing all 3 functions on this one light, the Thin-X, whether it be a strip or a standard Thin-X. The other benefit about that light is it has a linear style lens. So as you can see, even on a 45-degree angle, it's still quite bright and very effective. Now, not every light functions and wires exactly like the Thin-X, but I figured I'd put that detail in there just in case you were wondering about how these Thin-X do. The auto flasher has several patterns you can choose from as well. You can see on the top cargo flash, which is also tied into the tailgate keyhole light. I think it's a camera light for the tailgate there, or a key light. That is in the same circuit as the cargo, which is set on a faster flash, and we slowed down and alternated the reverse on the standard 75 FPM, but that's the 75 flashes a minute with a little hang time. You can see the last flash kind of hangs a little bit, and what that's going to do is increase his long distance warning, because we have the other lights going so fast. When you go far away, it kind of blurs a little bit. The speed gets morphed into one kind of picture, and with the alternation going the way it is and that slight hang, if you're very far from this truck, what you're going to see mostly is that solid white alternation. It's going to look like a single flash left, right, because you're going to see the hang time more than anything. You'll notice all the other colors and everything, but what will really stick out from a long distance is that white alternation because of that hang time and that slightly slower flash. So this will work good at short and long morning. Alrighty, so what I'll do now is I will walk you around the truck a little bit and show you the locations of what I was talking about. We'll turn on the flash here so you can see. That's our location right there for the M-Power. You drill a single hole. It goes right through the grill. It mounts with the 3M adhesive VHB, so we're going to use our primer promoter on that as well. And we wire it right up to the auxiliary switches. Very nice, easy location. Down here, this is our HAW Duo that we mounted in the clean 1-inch hole, and we ran that wire straight up behind the headlight to tie in basically to the same wiring running this way for the M-Powers. So that HAW Duo mounts right there in the bezel, just like that. Nothing behind it to get in the way. Nice, clean, easy drill. No bad effects. Now you could also mount something here if you wanted a forward-facing light, but we were looking for side-facing on this build. So, as far as our badges, this is how our light looks in the badge. Again, we have that video we posted earlier on exactly how to mount this badge light in there. It's very easy. You run the wiring straight up here and through the plastic bulkhead after drilling a small hole. Comes out on the inner fender right under the hood. And the badges come off very easily with a pick tool and a plastic pry bar set. Take you into the truck a little bit, give you the driver's view here without flashing in your face. You can see the rest of the shop there. So here's your radar detector right up underneath the mirror. Here's your interior camera. That was kind of cool. The LED light flashed. There's your interior with your IR. Okay, I kept that on the right side. I had debated whether I was going to put that here or here, but there's not a real good mount. So I don't know if you've done it differently. I even thought about sticking it here. If you've done some Blackview cameras in Super Duty and you had a different experience, go ahead and post yours. But that's where I put the interior mount, and the actual Blackview camera is mounted right up here behind the rear view mirror. And that's putting it pretty much center windshield on the top. Of course, we hardwired everything. It's all tucked up nice and tight, and it's ran up under the headliner here, ran this way behind the airbag and down, so everything is all nice and kosher up there. We also remounted the iPass for this owner, so everything's tucked up nice. And what I like is as you step back, you really only see that radar detector, which is a quick release. It's a nice magnet mount on the new Escorts, which is pretty cool. So you can pop that detector right off and put it in a glove box if you're in a high theft area, like Chicago. So let me show you around the back. Alrighty, so here's your rear mount camera, and we just used a simple piece of ABS plastic to create a mounting tab, if you will. And we used VHB with our primer promoter to mount it here to the top rail and then to mount the camera to it. And that puts the camera dead center in the rear. And if he decides to slide open the window, it won't have any effect on the camera. Window will slide open and closed without affecting the camera one little bit. So I'm excited on that. It was a nice, easy solution to a sliding rear window with a camera mount. So again, just some ABS plastic and some VHB tape. Alrighty, out back here, this is that undertail light side bezel I talk about quite often. You can fit a Lin 6, a T3, an M-Power, a couple other lights in there. Might be able to stuff a mini-fin in there, but we used the M-Power just so it would match up with the front M-Powers on this build, and it turned out quite nicely. And as we come around here, you can see here, the Thin-X strips, they're also mounted with VHB. Now we went ahead and sealed the top joint with RTV sealant in case he decides to load the bed with some loose material. It won't all fall behind the strip, in between the strip and the adhesive tape. We also added a couple of dabs of RTV to the back of these strips just to give them a little bit of extra stick, and we used the primer promoter as well. You may or may not need to lower your bumper. Some of the bumpers come pretty darn high, so if you have to drop your bumper a little bit, you'll notice on this one we also trimmed that rear wing off the bumper. Just use a fresh razor and go right down it, and you can trim that rear ring right off if you want to do that as well to open up a little bit more space to view that light. Alrighty, now let's talk about everything that's in this particular parts package, this bundle. Now there's going to be field seams. Like I said, you're going to be required to set your patterns to put this together. But what I'm doing is I'm going to put everything that I used pretty much for this build in a package. And that way you should have almost everything that you need. If I missed something, come back to this video, drop a comment, let me know. I'll try to update it and fix it. Send an email, whatever's clever. So we'll go front to back right now, and I'll kind of tell you exactly how I wired it and everything that you should need to know if you're going to do the same install as this. Starting with the fog lights, that's a low dome Haw Duo set in amber. It was done with a 1-inch drill bit. You can find a 1-inch drill bit, usually on eBay, by a seller called Drill Hog. We are going to end up trying to import those and stock them ourselves. But you need a clean 1-inch hole and a little RTV. Mount those right there. They come with the module driver for those. So all you need to do is apply power and ground. We mounted the module towards the passenger headlight area, connected both lights to it, and then ran the module up to the auxiliary switch. And the ground on the passenger fender was used for all of our grounding needs. Above that, we've got our 3-inch M-Power lights. Now, those are adhesive mounts. We're going to put in a Primer 94 pack for the front lights, and we're going to let you share that pack for the rear. I'm going to put one Primer 94 pack for all 4 lights. If you want to up it, you can order more, but one is sufficient to primer up all 4 locations for those M-Power lights. I'm also going to put in some 22-5 for the M-Power light to extend that wire. We're going to give you 25 feet. You're going to share that between the front 2 lights and the rear 2 lights. And I'll explain in the rear when we get there. The front 2 lights, we just extended right over to the auxiliary switch location where we synchronized them, set our patterns, and gave them power and ground. Now, if you wanted to take advantage of any of the other features of the M-Power light, like steady on white flood, which those front M-Powers and rear M-Powers do have capability, you can do so with another auxiliary switch. Speaking on the auxiliary switches, this particular truck has everything ran off of switch number 1. We're going to put a fuse kit in the bundle. It's up to you if you want to use it or not. We recommend to use it and downsize the fuse. Most of these systems run on a fuse of 5 or 7 amps at most. They don't need a 20 to 25 amp factory fuse. So we suggest also to take a look at that Unity tool that measures your amperage draw and pick up a fuse kit so you can fuse your load accordingly on this. Working backwards from there, you're going to see our Thin-X in the badges. We're going to give you another 25 feet of wire just for the Thin-X to extend those from each Thin-X light all the way back to the auxiliary switches. Now, this is where you might have a little bit of extra wire you could use to extend the Haw Duo if you really needed it. The 22-5 will give you all the options for the Thin-X. Thin-X has 6 wires, but you don't need to use all 6. There's really no need to drag the synchronization wire So if you wanted to use all features of the Thin-X, you could separate the amber and white flashing by not hooking up, using the synchronization wire for something else. So 22-5, 25 feet for extending your Thin-X in the badges forward to your auxiliary switches. Your plug-and-play mirror mod kit plugs in underneath the dash, requires nothing, and runs those white mirror spotlights. Now do be sure that you have the white forward-facing mirror spotlights. Not every truck does. You know you have them because there's square switches above your headlight switch that say on, and they turn on the white mirror spotlight when your headlights are on. So if you don't have those square switches, you will not have the white mirror spotlights, and you'll need to remove that item from this package or it won't work on your truck. That's a comprehensive kit. As I said, plugs in under the dash in no time flat. Above that is our auto flasher kit for our factory cab clearance lights. Now there's several different methods to wiring this kit. You could split the roof lights up if you like. We find that flashing all 5 roof lights at once kind of gives us the best punch. When I split them, it looks cool, but as you get farther away from the truck, it really loses effectiveness. So, and it's also a lot more labor. So the way we do it is in the passenger A-pillar, there's one wire that you need to cut that powers all 5 roof lights. We are working on a plug and play for that. So that will be a plug and play solution very soon in the passenger A-pillar, where you won't need to cut the wire, but it's a simple 2-wire harness. It's very easy to get to and very easy to cut. And by doing it that way, all you need to do is take the A-pillar down and you'll work there and you'll be running running a wire included in the kit back behind the glove box to the driver's firewall, through the firewall, and over to your auxiliary switches. The roof light cab clearance light kit will come with everything you need. It's actually going to come with more than you need. It's going to come with a little extra wire because if you want to split them up, I give you wire to do that. But you won't necessarily need that wire. So feel free to use it anywhere else that you like. Alrighty. Now, moving on to the back of the truck, our cargo kit, our another auto flasher kit, is going to come with everything you need. And the way we interrupt that cargo, what we like to do is to interrupt it via the method on the large white wire running down the passenger kick panel to underneath the passenger seat. There'll be details on that. It is a single wire cut. If you prefer to interrupt it behind the actual cargo light, you can do that as well. That if you have a camera in your third brake light, very important. If you have a camera, you can test it to ensure it's a 12-volt LED. The instructions show you all how to do this. And you can even alternate flash the cargo. That, again, we don't really do very often because when you take that small cargo light and you flash only half of it, you can imagine the reduction in brightness. So what we have done and had better luck with is flashing the entire light the way that you saw in the video as one unit. And when you do it via the wire on the passenger kick panel, which is in the instructions, you also get the benefit of flashing that small light on the tailgate. If you interrupt the cargo light behind the cargo light itself, the here will not flash. Now below that you can see our auto flasher kit for the reverse. That's comprehensive, comes with everything you need. You're going to run a wire up the passenger side right to the auxiliary switches. Real easy. We've given you some 22.5 to extend those M powers, and we're going to make our connection from the 22.5 on the M powers also to the Thin-X strips. And we're going to go from there forward with an 18.5. I'm going to give you 25 feet of 18.5 as well for your Thin-X strips and your M powers. You simply combine all 4 of those lights down to the 18.5 and run it forward using whatever functions you want. You have a power, a ground. You can use the flood feature if you'd like. There's really no need to run sync and pattern forward. You can synchronize the strips right under the tailgate if you like. No need to synchronize the 2 M powers side to side, but if you want to, you can. It's totally your call. Synchronization and pattern are really an art form of the installer. It really does come down to how much time you want to put into playing around with the lights to get the display you're after. When you see a truck that looks bad, it's usually because they didn't take the time to figure out the lights and actually make them look the way that they wanted. They just put them on power ground and walked away. So I think I've covered everything. If I missed anything, let me know. This is a hella long video. Thanks for staying with me. If you're in here all the way till the end of it, trying to do a lot more in depth on my videos for you guys, trying to give you all the information that I can. And as I said, if I missed something, post it. I'll try to get back in here and look at it again and figure out what I missed for you. We'll give you some heat shrink with this kit, the fuse holder, all that wire. It's going to be a lot of parts. Take your time, go slow on the install. I think you can put it together, no problem. And feel free to modify it a bit. If you want to change or add some things, go for it. This is just a bundle here of everything I used on this build. So if you like it and you want to do exactly that, you can order it just that easy. We're going to put it in a couple different places. It's in the comments of this video. It's in the description of this video. It's also in the website, which you may or may not be viewing it on now. It'll be on our bundles section, a pre-made kit, factory plus aftermarket, which is what this is. It's some factory lighting and some aftermarket lighting. And that's what it is. So thanks again for tuning in to Wicked Warnings, your number one source for construction and emergency safety strobe lighting equipment for cars, vans, buses, bicycles, tricycles, locomotives, wheelchairs, and real nice platinum F350 2022 Ford Super Duties with the 6.7 liter Power Stroke for our good friend over at Mr. Porch in Chicago, Illinois. Look them up if you need some porch. Thanks again. See you guys later.